What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York, and we are back at St. Vitus. We interviewed Yob, we interviewed Bellwitch, we interviewed Amon Ra, we interviewed Isenordal, and now we are here with Big Brave. I officially call this the Summer of Doom. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Yeah, of
Thank
course.
you.
I'm
Thanks
a
to you.
huge fan of the Ardor record, which came out this past fall,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Let's go over the recording of it. How was the making of Ardor?
Like the actual recording
Yeah.
process, if I can remember, because it feels like ages ago. It was good. It was very good.
It went really well, actually.
Right? No, it was super fun.
Radwan.
Yeah, Radwan, the engineer, was great. We had Thierry play double bass, this guy from Godspeed, who just kind of like enhanced everything. Did Jessica play on it also?
Jessica played on it.
Yeah. So we had like really fun guests, and
It was a really nice time.
Was it in the winter we did it? It was cold outside.
You guys are from Canada. I'd figure that it's always...
It's not always cold.
Was it winter?
That's a
Sometimes.
very good question.
I think it was winter.
Yeah, it was like winter early last year.
Yeah. What pretty basic.
What did we do?
recording.
We did 3 days recording, 3 days mixing,
Yeah, something like that.
something like that. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you've had guests, so I'd imagine like having multiple people involved, not just you get 3 guys, allows you to bring in many different elements in your music, right?
Well, it enhances the soundscape. Like what Thierry did blew our minds. Just him listening to the recording once and sort of like practicing what he would do immediately made the song like 100% better.
There definitely is a lot of room for guests, and I don't think we've never had another guitar that's just like enough guitar, but for strings and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
It's just like
yeah.
it's something that the guitars can't produce, so it adds a really nice additional layer to it all. And
Yeah, especially with people that are content with really listening and being and producing something minimal and more.
no shredders.
No shredders.
No shredders allowed.
No, like 5.5 minute solos.
No.
No. Gosh, no.
We're not even friends with people who do that.
Wow.
I can't personally befriend any type of shredder.
So no tours with Yngwie Malmsteen anytime soon.
No.
Why not?
Even Lee. No, Chip from The Body. He's borderline shredder. It's too much.
No. He's perfect. They're both
But-
so perfect.
What I was curious about this record is because it's 3 songs, one being 11 minutes, one being 13 minutes, and one being like 14 and a half minutes. I'm just curious, in the eyes of Big Brave, how do you guys know when a song is done?
We don't.
We often have like an ending first, or we might have an ending and a beginning. It's often like a collage of parts. So I think a lot of the time we know what we're going to do at the end and the beginning, and it's kind of just like linking up these main parts. It's like usually a song is like 3 sections or 2 sections. So how do we put
that's
this?
how Ardor went, and
Yeah.
that's how some of the songs on Au-delà went,
Yeah.
but not all of them. And this, with writing new songs, we're trying to steer away from doing these parts,
Yeah.
like 1, 2, 3. We're trying to.
We kind of fallen into a
Oh,
so it's not chronologically,
right?
yeah.
No, yeah, it just in the way we had written Ardor. There was a pattern. We noticed a pattern, and I think we needed to go there. I think we just needed to explore that avenue. But now we've decided to come back to our original concepts and branch off in another direction while keeping the same feel, same minimalism, same tension, same intensity and heaviness, but not as, I would say, cinematic necessarily. Because Ardor's pretty cinematic. It's pretty...
Yeah, I also thought it was very atmospheric as well.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's a better word. Yeah.
I mean, that's how I always thought of like Doom and Black and metal and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, but I thought also with your music, kind of like everything counts in it with the vocals and the melodies and the rhythm in it. Is there ever something that comes first, or does things just kind of fall into place?
Well, Mathieu spends a lot of time in the jam space, just noodling and figuring stuff out and coming up with concepts and shredding. Basically,
I'm
that's
allowed.
the secret. He's allowed. No
I'm
one
the
else
only
is
shredder
allowed. That's why I do one thing.
It kind of does fall into place, though, because the guitar
Eventually,
parts are
yeah.
very rhythmic. So then once we have that, it's just like following this main idea.
Yeah.
Like everyone's kind of just like playing the same
Yeah.
repetitive pattern. We're all doing these patterns, and then it breaks out a bit. But yeah, I don't know. We have like a main rhythmic pattern, and then kind of pile up onto that. But that's always kind of the bare skeleton.
Yeah, we pile up, but then we pare down because we're like, oh, it's too much. Let's bring it back, and then we kind of restart again.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's.
It's just because I hear so many bands with this like we've like I've mentioned before, we interviewed like 5 bands of like this sort of like doom style in the past like 2 weeks, and I've got a different answer for the songwriting process every time. So a lot of people would think, oh, there must be a formula for this style of music, but it really seems like every band has a different story behind it.
Absolutely.
Now, from listening to your music and seeing these types of shows, it seems like it's a completely different experience hearing your music through a pair of headphones.
Yes.
Versus seeing you guys live.
Absolutely.
And which I don't know if I was allowed to do that, but I was watching you guys sound check. You sounded awesome, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
But for you guys in the process of making the music, like in the studio versus performing them live, I was curious to how different it is for you.
Well, very different because it depends on how the engineer also wants to set us up. Vocals. For Odala, vocals were done live, but for Ardor, they were done separately. So it just depends. The thing is that the biggest, I guess, challenge or something in recording is that heaviness that you get when experiencing the show live, our show live, doesn't translate.
Of course.
In the recording.
It's a tricky thing. I think it's
very
like that
tricky.
With a lot of heavy music where you use amplitude
Yes.
as a tool to like convey these things. And when you're listening to music at home on a stereo at low levels, it's sometimes hard to get those things translated. And, but I don't know. You got no choice. You got to make a record.
I would recommend, like for first time listeners, I would recommend a live show before the recording.
Ooh, it's my first time seeing you guys, and I listened to you guys for a
no.
while.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I just shouldn't watch the show tonight.
Yeah,
then,
just don't. It's gonna ruin the recording for you.
Well, I figured like the recording process is also always different because I'd imagine that there's more cooks in the kitchen, where on the stage it's just the 3 of you, and
Right.
I'd imagine that there's no better people who know your music better than the 3 people in the band. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So another question I'd like to have is coming from Montreal, Canada. I mean, I hear about a new metal festival there. It seems like there's a new festival there like every week, almost. I don't know, but I know that
don't know either.
Montreal specifically is home to the Agonist and a bunch of other awesome bands. I was just curious to how launching in Toronto, did you guys, or I almost said Toronto, but launching out of Montreal, did you guys have like a scene in your hometown that you played in a lot, or did you kind of have to go outside where you're from to?
We had to go outside. We're not really part of a scene. We definitely have wonderful supporters and we support people, but we're not, it kind of branches out into pockets of scenes, I guess.
Yeah, because we're not really a metal band. Also, I don't know, we're heavy, but we don't. It's hard for us to kind of like fit in one category.
Yeah, like technically,
or one,
yeah, exactly. Like technically, we're not metal. Technically, we're not doom. Technically, we're not post rock. Technically, like all of those genres that people.
And also, we don't like to play Montreal that much, so we only play like 2 shows a year
Max,
max.
maybe one.
Really? It just,
Or yeah,
is it
one
just
or two, so.
is it just because like if you play there too much? Because a lot of bands who are based here, they say they don't like to play in New York so much because like people are gonna be like, oh, they're gonna come, they'll just come to the next show or whatever. Is it like a radius clause thing or?
In part,
And also Montreal, it's kind of tiny. So when you play a show, like you don't want to ruin like the magic of it in a certain way. Like if you play there, like some bands are playing every month, and I don't get the point of it. Like for some people, I think it's great, but I don't.
Well, I think for bands starting off, like when we started off, we said yes to every single show, and I think that's important to do, just to like get people used to hearing your band name until it finally registers and they're like, oh, maybe I will check that out, even though it's been 2 years that you've been playing live in your own hometown, but whatever. Yeah, the magic in Montreal can be hard to play too. Just in terms of reception, there's so much music as well, you know, it's pretty saturated.
Yeah, I know Canada's like bigger than some planets, but like, but it seems like there are so many bands out there, whether it's Threat Signal or Critopsy or Anvil or Gorguts, Cataclysm, you name it. So it's crazy. And one final question I wanted to have is, because as we like talked about, I kind of like meant to ask this before the last one, but your music is very experimental, I've noticed. There's, as you mentioned, you don't necessarily consider yourself a metal band, and you don't necessarily like have like a idea. So I'd imagine trying new things, because Ardor is your third record, right? Yeah, so I'd imagine every record has been a new approach, and you've never been afraid to experiment, right? It's not like you stick with a formula.
Exactly.
Oh, totally. It's like we thrive on trying new things, and I mean, especially for, I think, our own instruments also, it's like what else can we do with like these standard tools and all, and like basic songwriting, and it's kind of, I feel like it's a priority to keep doing different things, and it's easy to just sound like another band. And I'm not saying we are that different, but it's just like, it's definitely on the back of our minds, like, what the hell else can we do? How can we do it differently? And
yeah, but not just sound like other bands, but also stick to a formula that kind of had worked. Like there are some songs or pieces or whatever that people gravitate to more than others, and we could still take that formula and just alter it enough to have another song that people might, you know, like, but we don't, that's not part of the concept, that's not part of our goal in writing music, period.
So you don't like have a preconceived idea of what you want to do?
No, but yes. As long as it is minimal with the tension.
those are themes that I think we'll keep
Patience.
working with. But
and then also with the live show too, like we kind of with Au-delà, those songs were more confrontational when played live.
Yeah.
Whereas Ardor, it's confrontational in the sense that it's loud and heavy, and for some people that don't really know what they're getting into, it's like, oh, I don't know, I don't get it. But
Ardor's like more subtle.
I would say like it's not
Certain way, yeah. In a certain way, like if you compare both albums, I would say so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But that's what we're trying to do with the next one, the next recording, these new songs, is we're trying to go back to,
I think, to pare it down some more again.
Even more,
like on Ardor,
as
it's
much
like we
more.
kind of like became a band, but I think we feel like we need to deconstruct more again, kind of like take
Absolutely.
a step back. And so those are ideas that
pretty
we're
exciting.
Write shorter songs?
No, we won't do that though.
Maybe not 15 minutes.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll be shorter, because we've gotten to a point where we play a lot with repetition, and you get into this kind of like, you can create trances and these different moods, and you only really get there when you do like one thing over and over. So you have a tendency to want to make things shorter, because that's kind of like ingrained in your mind, like for songwriting, because you've been listening to 3-minute songs your whole life. But it's just like, once you let go, you're like, okay, this is what speaks to us. This is cool.
That's cool. I mean, hey, Napalm Death made like a 6.5 second song before, and so there's a balance. So, But before we go, just any shows coming up or any tours that you'd like to promote, or what could we be expecting from Big Brave for the rest of 2018?
This is actually our last tour for this year.
Okay.
And we're going to be recording and
Writing and recording.
this fall. So, but until
Fall,
then,
winter.
I don't know when we'll be playing next. Not till 2019.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 I know.
That's so sad. But you'll be back here.
Oh,
This is your
I-
third time at this
I
venue.
know.
Yeah, I'm surprised you guys aren't sick of us yet.
No. This is part of what is I don't know how to express just the joy of not only being able to play at the same venue that does good work and sounds great, but specifically a venue like this one.
Yeah.
You know, like consistently play this place. Like, it was pretty fucking
Yeah, it's
lucky.
always amazing.
Yeah.
We have local shows at St. Vitus, and Megadeth and Anthrax have also played here. Like, it's a go-to place for, like,
Yeah, it's
many bands.
it's quite the legendary place.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for your
Thank
time.
you so much, Alex.
Yep. Everybody, we are here with Big Brave. Pick up Ardor if you haven't already. New music coming
Hello.
soon. We'll see you next
Hello.
time.
Hello. Bye. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.